Walter and Chris. Good evening, Zimbabwe. You are listening to Studio 7 from the Voice of America on Tuesday, February 17th, 2015. And this is Live Talk, The Connection. I'm Tungamili Nkomo.
And I'm Tatenda Gumbo.
Tonight, we are talking youth unemployment, which continues to devastate millions with no solution in sight.
So let's get connected. Join us on our Twitter and Facebook page using the hashtag The Connection. On Facebook, you can find us at VOA Studio 7. And on our Twitter handle, you can find us at Studio 7 VOA. So let's get things going. And you can also call us on our WhatsApp number, which is 001-202-465-0318.
And for those who want to speak on air, you can give us a call on 001-202-619-2077. Again, the number 001-202-619-2077. And we will call you back.
We're also streaming live on the internet, so make sure you can catch us there. We can be found on voazimbabwe.com, voashona.com, and voandebele.com.
We know that, a lot of entrepreneurs start up their businesses in their parents' home or in their parents' garages. A lot of international global corporates today started out in a garage or a basement. That may not be possible here because of power cuts and poor connectivity or expensive internet to people's homes. So we try to solve that problem by saying, come to the hub. We're open 12 hours a day, 6 days a week, and we can provide the tools you need to build your business.
And can you talk about how feasible it is, for someone to be connected with you guys?
In terms of feasibility, we have various programs that we're currently running. We host several established businesses that are actually, operating from our premises. They pay us for the hosting fee, and they're able to now have a good location, a good address, and have the internet and power supply. And
today you hosted the Entrepreneurship Day. And what were some of the takeaways?
I would say the takeaways were that Zimbabwean entrepreneurs have probably come to the realization that they're not alone in this world. Their problems are not unique. And the fact that they're Zimbabwean does not need to limit them in their quest for success. There are tools available that are accessible globally using the internet. There are mentors who can plug in via Skype, for example. So they've started to realize they're not isolated. They're not alone in this world, and their problems are not unique to Zimbabwe.
And looking forward, what's your view on entrepreneurship in Zimbabwe and making sure that everyone, especially young people, have a piece of that pie?
I think everyone is already trying to get a piece of that pie. We're a country of reluctant entrepreneurs. I will call them subsistence entrepreneurs. There are not enough jobs in the marketplace because we're still in a recovery period after our economic crisis. So, there are not enough jobs around, so people tend to create a job for themselves by setting up a business or some form of entrepreneurial activity, be it selling tomatoes, be it selling airtime, running a private taxi service, and so on. What we find, though, is that a lot of them are doing this without any guidance, without the right skill set to perform these activities to the best of their capabilities. So as an entrepreneurial hub, Hypercube tries to solve those problems by having workshops, having these discussion platforms like we had this afternoon with 263 Chat, so that they can think a little bit differently, so that they can think beyond just creating a job for themselves and actually now create jobs for other people. Many of them will get into these situations just to be able to feed themselves and their family. That's hence the subsistence entrepreneurs. They're doing it for survival. We're trying to get them to think, scale up, grow. Think in 5 years' time, can you employ 30 people? In 10 years' time, can you make it 50?
That was Renish Dasai, who is the Hypercube Hub co-founder, speaking with me earlier, Ntunga, talking about how his company is helping young Zimbabweans start their startups and also get a way to be able to become the entrepreneurs that they want to be today.
Indeed, Tatenda. Again, young people in Zimbabwe, this is your youth forum, The Connection on Live Talk, coming to you live from the Voice of America in Washington.
And it is a known fact that unemployment continues to wreak havoc in Zimbabwe, especially among young people who constitute the most productive population and demographic. But the question tonight is, what initiatives can youth take up to dig themselves out and improve their lives?
Indeed, that's the million-dollar question that we are about today on this Youth Forum Tatenda. Ongo muri yeZimbabwe tiri kumuchingamiza muchirongwa The Connection chiri kuuya kwamuri kubva kuno ku Studio 7 LiveTalk. Muchirongwa chanhasi tiri kukurukura nenyaya yekushayikwa kwemabasa, asi mvunzo mukuru watiri kubvunza pano apa muchirongwa ichi nhasi ndewekuti zvii zvingaitwa kana kuti chii chingaitwa nevechidiki kuti vazvisimudzire uyezve vabude munyaya yekushayikwa kwemabasa, iro idambudziko guru riri kusangana nevechidiki munyika. Mule Zimbabwe lichona njani uhlelo ngole The Connection losiza kini khona ngapho eZimbabwe nakuzo zonke inxa zomhlaba luvela ngapha eStudio 7 uhlelo ngolabasakhulayo The Connection, lapho esikhuluma khona lamhlanje ngodaba lokuswelakala kwemisebenzi ikakhulu kwabasakhulayo. Ukuthi imisebenzi kayitholakali into eyaziwayo yiloba ngubani, kodwa umbuzo esingawo lamhlanje, umbuzo omkhulu ngokuthi kuyini okungenziwa ngabasakhulayo ukuze baphume kulolo udaba lokusilela kwemisebenzi.
Yes, Ntunga, just as you said, today we're talking about what young people can do in the entrepreneurial spirit to lift themselves up and find themselves in a better situation. And as we heard in that clip we played in the beginning, Ntunga, Renish from Hypercube Hub was saying that in Zimbabwe, so many young people are surviving in what he called subsistence entrepreneurship, meaning that they're just doing entrepreneurship for the moment and looking for a way to be able to make money, to make $1 day by day. So we hope that, and their hope also is that they can assist these young people to cultivate that small little plan to become a business where he says you can maybe in 5 years be employing 30 people, maybe 50 people, and becoming a true business person.
Indeed, Tatenda, we must point out from the outset that young people in Zimbabwe constitute more than 60% of the population. And really, that means, the issue of unemployment is a big, very big issue. You talk of young people leaving colleges with multiple degrees. But at the end of the day, they have nowhere to go. And today, like I said earlier, the big question, the multi-million-dollar question is, what can be done by young people to dig out?
And Ntunga, of course, this issue of unemployment can be tackled on so many different avenues. I was looking on our Facebook page and someone was saying, how can I even do anything without the startup money? But we're talking today about entrepreneurship just because it's one of the avenues that young people in Zimbabwe can take to deal with this issue. There are so many other ones, and we hope we can tackle each one and get to everyone's avenue. But I think, of course, we have the experts that we will open up the phones for them and they can join us. Who are our guests this evening, Tunga? I think they're on the line.
Yeah, we have Ms. T, our first guest, Tawanda Chikosi, co-founder and CEO of Chikosi Technology Corporation, Median Professional Fellows Alumni. We also have Philip Chichoni. And Mr. Chichoni is a strategic business planning consultant working with SMEs and entrepreneurs. Good evening, Tawanda and Philip.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening. Good evening, and thank you for having us on the show.
Tawanda, we'll start with you. You are a Meridian Professional Fellows alumni, and today's program, the Entrepreneurship Day that was launched in Harare, came through with some of those like yourself who participated here in the U.S. Tell us more about how this program came about today and how you as yourself, when you were here in the U.S. last year, came about to be a Meridian Fellow.
Okay. The program that we had today, it was a reciprocal visit by our U.S. mentors. So when we participated as Meridian Professional Fellows under the U.S. Department of State program, and we were hosted by these fellows in the United States, there was going to be a reciprocal visit from them to come to Zimbabwe and Zambia, to also then get to understand where we're coming from, to get to understand what's going on in Zimbabwe and identify opportunities of collaboration, partnerships, as well as to give people some insights on how business is being run in the USA, and also try and localize them and give it to people in the form of the local context. So that was to answer your first question. Then the second question as to how I came to participate. The Meridian International Root Center advertises to the people locally here in Zimbabwe and in Zambia via their website, as well as some partner organizations like Hypercube Hub, as well as the relevant embassy in the relevant countries, bulletins to say we want people in these countries, entrepreneurs that are doing certain things within their country, to participate in a competition where they will submit their applications as to what they have done, the impact they've had on the community, the volunteer experience they have, how far they've gone with their business. Then they evaluate you. So when we applied for this program, there were over 300 applicants for the program from Zimbabwe, but they only wanted to select 6. So it was a very rigorous selection process, and we were fortunate enough to be selected as part of the 6 that went into the U.S.
Thank you, Tawanda, and please do stay on the line. Coming to you, Philip, you are an expert in, entrepreneurship. Tell us, how would you characterize the issue of youth unemployment in Zimbabwe, and what are some of the, most fundamental ways that young people can explore to dig out?
I think most of the people doing business in Zimbabwe, they are doing it out of poverty. There's no jobs, so they just do something to survive. They don't add value, and they don't go into businesses to grow. Like if you walk in the first street in Harare right now, you see people selling tomatoes, selling cell phone accessories, all those small things which make you just a few dollars a day. They're not looking at building businesses. They're just trying to make them to survive. So what I think people need are skills to build businesses that will be sustainable and profitable, not just doing something to survive. I think that is the major problem that we have, that they don't have entrepreneurial skills. You look at things like marketing and market research. If you are going to sell a product, you need to know who wants it, are they able to pay for it, what price are they willing to pay for it, and grow your business along those lines, not just to do whatever needs to be done to just make a few dollars a day. I think skills are more important than just selling things.
Tawanda, looking at issue mabasa, there's someone on your Facebook page kuti, even looking at the issue of beginning a startup or even being an entrepreneur, you need money. Let's talk about the issue of money and startup money. How can young Zimbabweans even get to the point of thinking about having their own business when they are unable to get the capital to do such a thing?
I think it's a great misconception that people have as local entrepreneurs, and this is basically what we are trying to teach them through the various mentorship programs that we are running in the country, both in our individual capacities as well as the tech ecosystems that we have. through high-tech tube as well as other hub centers which are trying to train people in entrepreneurship. The greatest misconception that people have is you need money to start a business and you won't be able to start if you don't have the money. I think this is something that is, drawing a lot of people back. What I did when I started my business, I didn't even have a single dollar to my name. I only had the passion to work on a solution for a problem that I had identified. So I ran a business that tracks stolen laptops and stolen computers, which I implemented in the year of 2010. And I've actually won an award of innovation in this country for that. But I started it without even a single dollar in my hand. So here's what I think should be the formula. We need a rethinking. We need a mindset shift, to understand that what you have to do is identify a problem. Identify a problem. You start small in your community, maybe at the church or at your school, something small, maybe at the nation at large. Then you go and have various sources of funding. That's your family, your friends, people who know you, people who trust you. You demonstrate that you know exactly what you want to provide the solution for. You demonstrate a track record where this solution has been successfully implemented. You demonstrate that you have done your homework well. You have the passion and the drive for it. Then you can tap into the network of the people who know you. That is your friends who will be willing to support you. Your family will be willing to support you, as well as the ones that we always call the fools, the 3F, your friends, family, and fools. So what I then did is I convinced 3 guys to say, okay, guys, this is the idea that I have. I've communicated with the international company that holds this technology. Here is their email. They've directed me to a South African office which has the patents and the rights for the Southern African region, and this is the communication. I'm showing people that I've done my homework, it's legit, and this is what is required. We just needed $1,000, and people chipped in with their money. They believed in me, they believed in the research and the depth that I had gone through with the solution, they believed in the solution, and we started without anything, and we've been running up until now, which has sustained us and helped us grow the company in different ways. So I think it's a great misconception to say you can't start a business if you don't have money. Start something small, trust you, get into a network of people that trust you, your friends that are willing to support you if you demonstrate it to exist. Then I think everything else just falling into place once you take the first step.
Uyakhuluma lapha umnumzana Tawanda Chikosi ongunikazi wenkampani ethiwa Chikosi Technology Corporation. Ukhuluma yena ngokuthi yena eze eqalise ibhizimusi yakhe wayengela mali ngitsho isenti kodwa wabambana lamanye amajaha amathathu wakhulumisana la ukuthi amajaha kithi ngilombono lapha ongasilethela imali ngilombono olobuciko obukhulu ocijileyo ongasilethela inzuzo wa manager ukuba convince lawo majaha wasethola ke imali wavula inkampani yakhe eChikosi Technology Corporation. Ukhuluma njalo ngokuthi nxa kuyikuthi ufuna ukuvula ibhizimusi ungumuntu osakhulayo iqala ngokuncane khonoko akudingakala itatenda ukuthi uzube lenqwaba zemali ama-10,000 ama-20,000 hachi qala ngakhonoko okuncane olakho uvula kuyibhizimusi kwakho okuncane as long ubuye lo mcijo omuhle wahlela ibhizimusi yakho ukuthi izahamba so ufuna ukwenza lokhu lalokho uzaphumelela ngalokho ungavele uqalise izabikhula ibhizimusi yakho ikhula ugcine usukatshana kakhulu. Timbo uya kwamburi mkoma Philip. Vechi diki wakawanda tinoziva kuti vaninge vachiche manenya kuti mari yacho yekutanga business andinayo we have nowhere to go ku secure ma lines of credit kuma banks kunonetsa saka ndeipi kurudziro yamungavapa vechidiki apa anenge ane idea yake kutanga business asi achinese kana kuti ndotanga papi chaizvo.
I think point that on Tawanda is very valid. You need a network of people who know you. When you're at school, would you O-level, A-level college, and you have one of my friends, people that you are at school with. Try to keep up with those people after school. And if you launch a product or whatever service that you launch, try to say to those people that know you and trust you. And they can actually buy that product before you make it. I know some people actually make some things, maybe they write a book, then you say to their friends before they even write it. Then those people give you the money to fund your project. Create a good product, people can buy it before you even made it. So those people that know you, your network actually can find you instead of looking for money from a bank or some other sources. Your network can actually buy you if they know you, they trust you. The people you went to school with, people you went to college with, your relatives, your friends, tell them that you've got a product that solves their problem, and they can actually find you before you start.
Cool. Like, Tawanda, my products actually, as Koma Philip is saying, kuti, build network yako. But what are some of the programs, my companies that you're seeing in Zimbabwe that reflect grassroots level? Nukti, we can talk about ginger technology, social media and everything. But kanamunariku mamisha, what can they really look at themselves and say, kuti inini dine business yangu, but I'm doing something that's very, very small. Give us my examples.
Okay. If we want to follow, you start small, and how do you start a business? Not drive opportunities that one has identified. No, business in the city. Regarding the example in Zimbabwe, we know that in Africa, not only in Zimbabwe, magesi anoneta. Not only in the city centers as well, but Kumamisha, it's even worse. We have in Zimbabwe organizations like ANARIA standing for Rural Electrification Agency. That we from my initiatives to try to make sure Kumamisha but the majority of my places like Kumamisha are mageti. So even the Ethernet wireless, Yakatanga Ugatia, my solar lamps, way to try and help Vanwarkuma areas why, but solar lamp is already multifaceted. Rine zvakawanda zvarinoita rinogona kuti ukakonekta charge yefoni rinochaja foni yako, and at the end of the day rinokupa kuti magetsi elight kana kwasviba, but rinochargewa nesolar, you don't have to pay anything. And masolar lamps asvika paanoita $15. And iko zvino tikaverenga manewspaper tinonzwa kuti Zimbabwe ine vanhu over 11 million vari kushandisa macellphone. Saka vanhu vari kumamisha ivavo vari kuchaja mafoni iwayo pai. Saka tomboti mukomana wechidiki ndinogara munharaunda mandinoona kuti vanhu vane macellphone, maybe they have to travel pakareba stere kuti vaende kunochaja mafoni avo. When my father goes kumamisha kufama, I sometimes struggle to call him nefoni inenge isina moto. So why can't you say, all right, let's come together as maybe 3-4 young people vemumaruwa Mwensend area. Ngatiende kuHarare, ngatitumire munhu wekuHarare anotengerawo masolar lamps aya. We run a small project where we charge people maybe $1 to charge a phone yake kuswika yazara or 50 cents kuswika yazara. Before you know it, the whole community will charge some phone pamba penyu or with your group, and you can start from there. The moment yamunongo realize challenges ari pachikoro, ari pachechi, ari munharaunda mamunogara, it provides you a way yekutsvaga solution. Why not come to Harare and say ndabvenda kunoona tete ndisisewo pane vakomana vamaraini kumusha tinosangana nezvakadai kuno munozvisolva sei, then you transfer zvauri kuona kuno kuti unozviimplementa kuti kwaunogara. That's the same thing zvatangoita isusu tabva kuno taenda kuAmerica taona zvimwe tadzoka taakuzviita. Zvinongoitikawo munhu anobva kumusha achiya kuHarare anoenda kuBulawayo anoenda kwaMutara anoona kuti vanhu vari kuzviita sei zvodzokera kuarea kwake ungonozviitawo.
Uyakhuluma lapho uTawanda abasemakhaya khona ngapho eMperengwa, eGwanda, Beitbridge, ePlumtree, Harare Masvingo, eWange, eBhinga khona ngapho uhlelo ngolabasakhulayo The Connection. Lamhlanje sikhuluma ngodaba lokusilela kwemisebenzi kwabasakhulayo, kambe kungenziwani ukuphathisa abasakhulayo ukuze baphume kulolu dubo. Yiwo umbuzo omkhulu kakhulu esingawo lamhlanje nxa lifuna ukuphatheka kuhlelo lingasithumela incwadi ye-SMS kunombolo ezithi 001 202 619 2077 kumbe lisitshayele ucingo lisiphe inombolo zenu sizalichayela-ke sikhulume lani emoyeni khonapha kuhlelo ngolwenu lina abasakhulayo. Silomlaleli tateni.
Tinemtheleli mthunga nonzi Chezu Simendi ari ku Shirugwi. Makadi mkoma. Hello. Muripo ere?
Tiripo.
Makadi mkoma.
Tiripo makadi wengi.
Tiripo tara yenyu mapinda mu the connection.
Ya ndufara ngumzwa news kubva ikoko.
Tara yenyu.
Ndafara kufunda mushongo chenyu.
Tinotenda mkoma Chuzu. Nyaya pano apa nhasi inyaya idambudziko rekushayikwa kwemabasa munyika zvikuru sei kune vechidiki. Imimi muri kushanda here?
Ndiri kushanda.
Okay. Asi mungati chine dambudziko iri because idambudziko guru zvikuru vakawanda vari kusangana naro. Havazi kushanda, vari kubuda mumacolleges vachigraduate asi mabasa acho ari kunetsa kuwana.
Todzidziswa ndio zvinomira zvakanaka. Tinofara kuti paitwe mabasa.
Saka muri kutarisira kuti mabasa acho ange achibva kupi apa kuhurumende?
Ndinganguti kana hurumende ichikwanisa kana nevamwe makambani dzakakwanisa kuvhurawo kuti mabasa kuti tikwanise kushanda.
Asi imimi basa ramunaro mungati muri kunyatsogutsikana, mari yamuri kutambira pakupera pemwedzi muri kugona kutenga zvese zvamunenge muchida semuri?
Ndizvo zvokuti tiona kurarama.
Yeah, hilo udubo olukhona elizweni. Abantu abaningi abalutshana bona abasebenzayo tatenda bayasebenza kodwa imali abayiholayo bakhala ngokuthi incane kakhulu. Yilo udaba umnumzana uChuzu akhuluma ngalo namhlanje. Tinotenda zikuru mkoma Chuzu.
Tinotenda.
Alright, masimatabasa.
Okay, coming to you, Philip, there is a concept that I've heard of. I'm not an entrepreneur, but I've heard of crowdfunding. Can you talk to that?
Crowdfunding, it works especially in developed countries, like states in the UK, where you launch a product, then you put your product on the internet, on the website, like there's on the Kickstarter. You actually describe your product, what problem is going to solve, and then you ask for people to donate just small amounts, maybe $1 or $5, whatever. Then it's enough to find you to start up. But in Zimbabwe, I don't think it can really work because most people are not on the internet. But you can still do it in your community, where you're actually launching a product or a solution. Then you tell people in your community that, okay, this is the product I'm launching, but can you pay in advance? Then those people pay in advance, then you launch the product, then you give them the product or the service. So I think it can work in Zimbabwe. But it's only that most people are not on the internet in Zimbabwe right now. So I think you have to go out there and meet the people, tell them, explain the product, what it probably is going to solve.
Can you just
the benefits
may you just hold on the line? We just want to transition and say goodbye and good night to our radio listeners. But of course, as you know, Studio 7 Live Talk, The Connection is streaming live on our website. Make sure you can go there and follow us there. This is Tatenda Gumbo.
And Tungamili Nkomo. Please do stay tuned. Again, welcome back. The connection continues live online at voazimbabwe.com, voashona.com or voandebele.com.
And if you're on the web, make sure you are following us on our Facebook, on our Twitter, and also for those of you who are on WhatsApp, send us your messages so you can keep the conversation going. We are on hashtag The Connection. Ntunga, we have our two guests with us this evening. That is Tawanda Chikosi, who is the co-founder and CEO of Chikosi Technology Corporation and also a Meridian Professional Fellows alumni. And we also have Mr. Philip Chichoni, who is a strategic business planning consultant working with SMEs and entrepreneurs, who've been giving us very good insight into. I think I might just head home now and start one of my businesses I've been thinking about in my mind. I
couldn't think of a better panel than the one we have on our program today. It's a star-studded panel. Asi tisati tadzokera kune mapanelists edu timbotora mutereri zvidza impofu kukadoma. Wakadi yako zvidzai?
Ndofara makadiwo.
Aiwa, tinofara hedu tiri kutaura nyaya yekushayikwa kwemabasa zvikuru sei nyaya yanetsa vanhu vechidiki. Mungati chine zvenyaya?
Iri dambudziko ranetsa munyika medu. Esuka patinotogara kunoku aishandirawo imwe kambani yakaemploya almost 1,500 workers. Angomukawo kwangonzi kambani yavhara. Saka vanhu vese vaya vaishanda mukambani vari kungotambura, vari kukorokoza, vamwe vari kufira mumigodhi vachitambura kuti vangawana sei mari. Saka ndinoona sokuti dambudziko iri rigadzirisika. Ndinoona kuti dai hurumende yatopindira chaizvo yabatsira vawana mainvestors anogona kumutsidzira kuti makambani akavhara amutswe vanhu vatanga kuwana mabasa zvinobva zvaendeka nokuti tikadai tikorokoze nguva unenge usina kana zvokushandisa zvachina zvakakwana kuti uwane mari dambudziko ramba richingoita. Saka ndo zvandofunga inini.
Saka mukoma zvidzai pari zvino imimi hamuzi kushanda?
Takangogara tichishanda kutengesa madomati chaiwo mumastreets.
Timbonda kunyanzvi munyaya dzekuvhura mabhizinisi vaPhilip Chichoni, pane zvamungada kubvunza here panyaya yekuti ibhizinesi ramuri kuita iroro rekutengesa madomasi asi zvinodikanwa manje ndekuti muwanikwe muchiimprova muchikura, handizvo tatenda? Saka pane mubvunzo here wamungada kubvunza vaPhilip Chichoni?
Vafidanga kufunda kuti chii chatingagonawo kuita kuti tiwane mari kapita yekutiwo bhizinesi rikure, nekuti zvatinazvo nemhuri yatinenge tinayo mari inobva yaperera yose zvokuti tinongoramba tingova pazero. Saka tingaita sei kuti tiwane mari manje yekuti tigone kutaura bhizinesi rinokura zvinhu zvinoonekwawo.
Uyo mubvunzo ndewenyu vaChichoni. Vari kuti mukoma zvidzai vari kutengesa madomasi, saka vangakudza sei, vangasimudzira sei bhizinesi yavo?
Ndopa example yemadomasi ya kuti madomasi akazara mari right now one kuti price yakadzikira kuti awuite profit. But warimbofungawo something chekuti madomasi unotsvaka paGoogle kuti angapreserve sei. Muisambodhoro like tomato sauce like isambodhoro like mazaro vanhu people vanoshayisa maningi vachayisa ndomasi ari akadaro they just use them kuti vaise mumuriwo handizika. Can you find a way of innovating kuti vanhu vasanguka since it is now and ndomapreserva, then when the price imadomasi yakwira pay ndauti ari machi ari mabhodhoro like tomato sauce. It's an example of innovation. Think of adding value to matomasi. But add value and find a way of preserving it. I was thinking of our price, but not clear beggar. Now, my jazz with a higher price. It is some of supermarkets.
Saka muri kunzwa yambiro yacho vazvidzai.
Hongo ndikuzinzwa.
Pane mwe mvunzo ere wamunawo?
Asi ndaenda kupinda pavanga vaitaura ivavapo. Ndanyoma sokuti kana munhu uine mari esitiri tine takakombedzwa namapurazi anoti madomasi akawanda. Vamwe vane mari dzavo vagona kungoenda papurazi 1 zviya zveshe. Unosvika unotenga kana matanzi kana kuti 2 tons dzemadomasi. Utakura unoenda kunana Bulawayo, Nyarare, Tegutu, Kadoma. Outazokuhodhisa zveshe. Tuna vamwe vanosumuka vachiziita zvinotanga vane mari yakawanda inokwanisa kuvabatsira kuita izvozvo.
Atawanda pinda yenyu.
Okay. Inyaya yekuti add value to the tomato kuhandika instead of selling matomato akadaro handika. Magretei muisa mbodhoro. Lese wanika bottle handika. You can say that bottle for maybe $2 handika. Munhu angodira kuti madomasi ake muchi zvarubika. Iso kuti kuti vakari rombo madomasi agara handika. Add value, find a way of adding value to my tomatoes. What the food that you are now, what's for me, we are selling my raw products and it at greater value. But add value, preserve them. I got it. I'm sure when I Google, you'll find a way of preserving my tomatoes as I worry, jar, whatever. Then you can sell them, but tell me what I couldn't say, what was I then you now bottle, I will take it out to Madomasa. I don't bottle them. I got preserve. No go practice or tell us more than Mishkaf. No. We need to think of adding value.
Mkoma Tawana Chimbopinda Ipapo, you earlier gave us some advice on that that view. Kuti, if you're somewhere at grassroots level, what can you do? Tara ako na Mkoma Ridzai.
Okay. Inini ndine maonero akati siyani pana taurwa naMukoma Philip aya. Inini ndinoda kune vari kutengesa madomasi aya. Tinongotokukurudzirai kuti dai maramba muchipfuurira mberi nekuti hamuna kugara mune zvamuri kutoitawo kuti murambe muchienda mberi, saka tinokukurudzirai zvakanyanya. Asi chekutanga chandinoda kutaura ndechekuti semunhu ane mhuri inofanira kudya zuva nezuva, chimborambai muchitengesa madomasi wayo, aramba achikupaiwo shelter kana kuti achikuvharidzirai kune matambudziko angawanikwa kana mukashayiwa mari yekudya zuva nezuva. Asi manje muri ipapo muchitengesa ini madomasi muchimbowana kudya kwezuva nezuva, munofanira kuramba muchitarisa like muri kusaidi kuenzana zvekuti paine mataundi kana kuti zviuru zvevanhu vaishanda pamaini. Vanhu ivavo vanogona kuva vaine matambudziko akati fananei mukada kunyatsoteereresa nekuzvitarisisa. Zvinhu zvokuti munogona kuzotanga kufunga kuti orit, kana matambudziko andiri kuona akafanana pavanhu vese zvinorambika uye nemhinduro kudambudziko ravo, ndinogona kuwana vanhu vandinogona kunge ndichishanda navo, kana ndinogona kuwana vanhu vanogona kunge vachizotenga zvinhu zvandinenge ndichizotengesa kana ndavaigira mhinduro kudambudziko ravo. Asi madomasi musaridedza kutenga, munogona kunge risati masvika pachivero chiri kutaura naMukoma Philip zvekuti maakuda kuita yatinoti value addition kumadomasi mashoma iwaya muri kutengesa, munogona kunge risati masvika zvenyu ipapo. Asi rambai muchipfuurira mberi muchitengesa iwayo, muchiteerera zviri kuitika munharaunda yamunogara, muchiteerera zviri kuitika kuzvikoro kunoenda vana venyu, muchiteerera zviri kuitika kumachechi amunoenda. Mukana unowanikwa pazhinji panoungana vanhu, muchiteerera zviri kunetsa vanhu, ipapo munogona kuzowana nzira yekuti apa patinogona kupedza dambudziko revanhu ava. Munogona kuendawo munharaunda kune vana vafundisi kuri nechechi, pachechi pamunopinda panogona kupainewo vanhu vanenge vaine mari dzakati wandei kutora dzenyu. Kana mawana dambudziko ndo vanhu vanotanga kukupaiwo mari yesikati kana kuti mugone kutanga bhizinesi amunenge maona riya kuti riri kubatsira vanhu vakati wandei. Asi musaridza kutengesa madomasi, zvakakosha kuti pamunenge muchitsvaga bhizinesi rekuita murambe kuti muchipfuurira mberi nekurarama.
Handisika.
Saka ndopfugama gutsikana ipapo Mukoma Zvidzai handidi?
Tinopinda nekurudziro yavo iyi.
Okay, tinotenda zvikuru. Uve khuluma lapha tatenda uZvidzai. Ukhuluma ukuthi yena ule bhizimusi uthengisa nje amatamatisi wayesebenzela ikhampani eyayilabantu elesebenze ezifika 1500 kodwa ngokungami kuhle komnotho elizweni yadilika leyo kampani ba retrenchwa kathesi sithengisela amatamatisi ngakho ubedinga amacebo ukuthi engakhula njani njengebhizimusi obekhuluma lapho uPhilip emtshela ukuthi ethengisa amatamatisi kunjalo kumele uvule ingqondo eze lokho kuthiwa yi-value addition ngesingisi ekhangela ukuthi okay abantu abaningi bathengisa amatamatisi eZimbabwe, Harare, koBulawayo kugcwele ama-vendors. Mina kuyini engakwenza okungani kwehlukile kancane kodwa lokhu ngithengisa amatamatisi okunjalo okunganilethela inzuzo. Ube khuluma nge-value addition ke uPhilip ekhuluma ngokuthi cabanga ukuthi mhlawumbe ungathatha amatamatisi lawana owapreserve uwafake kuma-can yakhumbula lapha agcwele ama-candy tomatoes ngilethemba laseZimbabwe akhona ngaleyo ndlela uyabe usufake i-value amatamatisi akho nxa siwathengisa aza costa a little bit more than amatamatisi owathenga emkambo egodini kumbe erenkini. Utawanda yena ube lombono ohlukeneyo uthi mnumzana Zizai qhubeka uthengisa amatamatisi akho kodwa ngaleyo ndlela ube ubona la ukuthi ungathola amanye amathuba okuvula ibhizimusi uqhubeke khonapho. Silomunye umlaleli njalo angithi uBernard ose Botswana tiri kumchingamidza imo chirongwa koma Bernard
ndofara makabiyo
hayi watino fara hedu kurise ku Botswana uko
hayi Botswana kurunana hako
onko chirongwa ndeche the connection
taure yenyu mkoma Bernard pinda mchirongwa
aiwa ini ndofara kuti ndapangana navakomana vanobva kurupika inangu handisisiri mwana wachidiki chaiye handakabuda munyika asi ndofara kuti ndopangana nevakomana vane njere dzinopinda vachipawo njere nemuwe muchipawo njere kuvakomana vechidiki kuti vangararama sei vasiwezve mbanje vasiwezve zvisina musoro vachiita zvinhu zvavabatira nokuti tikatarisa iko zvino muno tikatarisa zvakatarisa kuZimbabwe handina hope kuona kuti kana vanhu vakasati if people cannot think on their own and do something on their own there will be something from our leaders. I don't see anything, there's nothing inside. Saka ndimati zviri nani vana vadiki vakwanise vatange kuzvitira zvinhu zvavo ivo vachizivisira tese tichitanda vanhu vachibatirana pakufunga nekubatirana zvinhu zvemari kapasina mariwo vachidiwa mari vachibatirana nekubatirana.
Ongo tinotenda zvikuru mkoma Bernard mkoma Bernard endra yenyu mberi
ndinenge ndine imwe nyaya yangu ndakataura nana Blessing naGit about 3 weeks ago ndatenda napingamisi ndakataura nana Blessing kuti pane munhu akabva kuHarare ane problem yecancer. Saka ndakataura navo ndikati pane munhu andinoziva anobatsira vanhu ndakatombobatsira vamwe vanhu vakafana kuti tiri vese hapana vakashaya vose vava kutoshanda vakatorarama. Saka ndobva ndati ndingavanipowo nhamba yake angabuda pastudio ini handina nhamba yake ivo vane yangu vane nhamba yemunhu saka ndati ndipewo nhamba yake so that I can communicate with him oenda kumunhu uyo anobatsira munhu wacho anobatsira ari kumasungo inini ndiri kuno kubhagabhureni. Saka vana kuzondipa I don't know what but ndoshaka kuti otherwise I could just save the life of that man. That I want for tibatsirane and I don't want any payment from him. Ndinomuita through aende kumunhu wacho anobatsira.
Wakataurire pamhepo paLiveTalk?
Vakataura paLiveTalk munhu aenda akatanga kutaura paLiveTalk kuti ane problem yecancer avati kuti ane breast cancer is a man but ava nebreast cancer. Ndobva ndade kuti ndobva ndadoparticipata pastudio. I had no intention of participate that day but ndakadoparticipate ndikavaudza vakati hatichakufonera apo.
Okay. Aiwa tine nhamba yenyu tofunga kuti iri paWhatsApp futi togona kutaura nemi kana tapedza pamhepo nhasi. We will give you a call tokufonerai.
Ndikumbira tatenda musaregedza handimuzivi hangu munhu but zvinosiririsa vamwe vanhu vakapona kuno mwanga ari kunyika yaitova neproblem akabatsirwa vamwe anga ari kuZimbabwe vanga vari vaviri vanga vari kuZimbabwe vakadobatsirikana zvinoizvi Well, I maybe ungangufuna I don't know, but I just want to say, maybe I don't later stage because
okay, Mkoma Bernard, tichamufonera kana tapedza chirongwa chedu.
Tinotenda.
Okay, that was Bernard calling us from Botswana. Gentlemen, Tawanda Chikosi and Philip Chichoni, please do stay on the line. We'll take a brief break to bring you today's our top headlines, for the day.
Secretary General Priscilla Misaira Mishonga of the MDC formation led by Washwing Nuwe has resigned her position. She remains a member of the party representing Matabeleland South under proportional representation. A forum for entrepreneurs, innovators and digital startups, Hypercube Hub, today hosted an entrepreneurship workshop in Harare aimed at sharing insights on growing business. Former ZANU-PF Secretary for Administration, Didmas Mutasa, says President Robert Mugabe has spent all his overtures to try and meet to talk about their fallout after the party's Congress last December. The MDCT today called for the resignation of Vice President Pelekezela Mpoko following his remarks that the Gukura-Wundi massacres were a conspiracy of the West and had nothing to do with President Robert Mugabe's party.
And those, of course, were the top headlines today on Studio 7. We want to make sure everyone not only listens to us here on Live Talk, but also make sure they listen to our news programs in Shona, English, and Ndebele every single day, Monday to Sunday. And Tunga, that sounded great. I actually liked that. It made me want to go back and listen to the news again.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
We're killing it, right?
I think same tereri adzoka
Bongani.
Yeah, I think so.
Yebo Bongani kunjani mnumzana? Hello Bongani? Hello Bongani? Ukanya kasizwanani kuhle lo Bongani la useBotswana uBernard sikhulumela kuhle nje iline yakhe ibi very clear angazi uBongani kuyino kuhluphayo kodwa nxa usanda sikhuma uhlelo ngolwe the connection ku live talk khonapha emsakazweni we Studio 7 namhlanje sikhuluma ngodaba lokusilela kwemsebenzi ikakhulu kwabasakhulayo aba constitute isingathi more than 60% of the national population. Umbuzo omkhulu lamhlanje ngokuthi kuyini okungenziwa ngabatsha ukuze baphume kulolu daba.
And I'll come to you, Mkoma Philip. Let's talk about the issue of the government and what role they play in this ongoing problem of unemployment. There are some who, to this moment, would argue that, you know what, let's just forget about the government and worry about what we can do as young people, as Zimbabweans, to better our situation.
I think, to be honest, the government is broke. So you can rely on the government to help you in any way. If you remember, there was that youth fund, the old mutual caps fund for youth, public, whatever. They just gave a few people money to start businesses, but the money was just so little. So we can rely on the government. I think people should now start thinking of how they can make it on their own. Like the tomato farmer, can you find a way of exporting your products out of the country? No. There are markets there in the UK, in the Netherlands. They used to buy fresh vegetables from Zimbabwean farmers, white farmers. Why can't we go there and sell our products there? The vegetables. I'm sure they face high prices in Europe and in other countries. So let's not rely on the government, because the government is actually broke. That's the effect.
And Tatenda, there is also another point of argument, talking point rather, which says
sorry.
Okay, which says the main job of the government is not to create jobs, but the government is simply there to enable the environment. Ngizwa kuthiwa uBongani sesiqhumile njalo from eBotswana. Siyakwamukela uhlelo Bongani.
Amukela ladi.
Yes, siyabonga ngokusixhuma kuhlelo lwabasakhulayo, uhlelo lwe-The Connection. Ungasiphathisa ngayiphi indlela namhlanje kuhlelo?
Mina.
Yebo baba, ungosakhulayo uyasebenza khona ngapha eBotswana? Iyatholakala kuhle imisebenzi?
Ayatholakala yona.
Aha, kodwa ungathini ngodaba lokusilela kwemisebenzi eZimbabwe?
Angilawo maningi ngayo.
Khona ngapho liyayithola kuhle imisebenzi njengabasakhulayo liyahlawulwa kuhle iholo leni. Akula dubo lukhona.
Awudubo lona lukhona sibili.
Akutsho yiluphi?
Imisebenzi yangikhona yabimkhulu sibili kodwa imali yangikhona incane.
Liyabonisana labaqhatshi ngaleyo ndlela?
Ya sona siyabonisana labo sibili kodwa ke labo yazekhala imali la ekalayo.
Wenza umsebenzi bani Bongani if you don't mind?
Icampentry.
Aha, okay, uyabaza. Okay. Kodwa udubo lukhona kakhulu nxa ngikuthola kuhle khona ngapha eBotswana ngolokuthi iholo liphansi kodwa imisebenzi yatholakala.
Ya imisebenzi yona kancane.
Okay. Hayi no siyabonga kakhulu Bongani.
Mina ngihlala koTshitshi.
Ohlala koTshitshi.
Ya mpuma koTshitshi.
Okay. Hayi no kuyabongeka ba.
Ngiyakwazi koTshitshi.
Hayi ngiyakwazi ba.
All right.
Yeah, hayi siyabonga Bongani. That was Bongani calling us from Botswana. He says, in Botswana, the main problem is not so much about, unemployment, but about low wages. Yeah, and he's my homeboy. He says he comes from Plumtree in Chichi.
Oh, okay. So you guys might have crossed paths at one time.
Most probably, but I don't think we know each other.
Tawanda, I'll come back to you also. The same question as I asked Philip a bit ago, the issue of the role of the government and where they should come in on this issue of unemployment. As Ntunga pointed out, some are saying that the government's role is only to make sure there's a stable environment for jobs. What's your take?
I have a strong opinion that government does not exist to create jobs. I strongly believe that government
sorry, Tawana, do you mind just moving a bit? Your phone is breaking. Just move over. Yeah, I think we'll hear you better.
Is it better?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, I was saying I'm of the strong opinion that government doesn't exist to create jobs in any economy, not in the U.S., not in Europe, and certainly not in Africa. But they exist to create a framework or policy that makes it easy for people to do business. The people who create jobs are the entrepreneurs themselves. So I think we need a mindset shift, as I've always been advocating for. We need to understand that the role is, the onus is dependent, is entirely up to us as entrepreneurs to start companies that then create jobs for other people. I might add on to say that the conditions that we find ourselves in Zimbabwe economically as well create an opportunity depending on the mindset shift that I'm saying to people. You find that most of the companies that have become globally dominant companies, they all started in the Great Depression in the USA. The conditions were not so conducive for them to start companies, but people had a mindset shift and they realized that it is up to us as entrepreneurs to start, and government can even come back to us later to create support systems and to try and see how best they can improve on what we would have started as entrepreneurs ourselves. My view is in Zimbabwe, the entrepreneurs themselves, or the people who would like to call themselves entrepreneurs, or who would like to get into business, or who eventually find themselves in business, are not yet ready in terms of the skill set that is required to run a business. We feel, or I also believe, that most of the people that are trying to run businesses, it's not because they wanted to be entrepreneurs to begin with, but they were forced into entrepreneurship because of the circumstances around them. So because they were forced into it, they did not make a decision to get into it. They are ill-equipped in terms of the skill set as well as the mindset that it requires to take a business forward. For example, you mentioned something about the youth fund that was set up by the government of Zimbabwe in partnership with Old Mutual, the $10 million fund. Mm-hmm. The people were given money. This is a classic example of a government that is trying to create a support system for young unemployed people who are trying to set up businesses, to try and see if you get the necessary support and your business becomes successful. You may employ 2 or 3 more people, which is not a creation of employment by the entrepreneurs, but the government playing its role to support and to facilitate a framework that makes it easy to do business. But the result of that effort on the part of the Old Mutual and government is that 70% of the people who were given the loan defaulted, and this was supposed to be a revolving fund where people were going to, more and more people were going to benefit from the fund as other people who had borrowed, brought in the money back. So I think now government is currently doing an evaluation exercise, visiting the entrepreneurs that were given the money to say, okay, you failed to pay back. Can you tell us why? Can we make us understand before we start to disburse again so that we become a little bit more efficient with the skill set that is lacking? We want to train people before we start disbursing money. So I think in Zimbabwe, in as much as people may say government this, government that, I think at some point they have some good initiatives, which we also need to give them credit for. And lastly, if I can add on to say
sorry, Tawanda. Sorry, let me just get one caller just quickly. Ambo Budapa Pamepo. I'm Koma Calvin. How are you? Welcome to The Connection.
I'm fine, and you?
Thank you. Tine, maybe about 45 seconds with Mutaure Tarenyu.
It's okay. I just want to talk about the association Ataka Former is my youth. National Investment for Science and Technology. This association is an association which is run under SACCO, that is Savings and Credit Corporation. It is registered under the Small to Medium Enterprise, where we will be depositing money and also encouraging savings between our members, and also lend the money to people who want to borrow the money.
And this initiative is for my students all over Zimbabwe or just at NAST?
As for now, it's only for students at NAST, but it will go to all other institutions in Zimbabwe.
Tinotenda Mkoma Calvin, sorry about the time, but we appreciate this initiative, and it's nice to know that students are doing something for themselves in Zimbabwe, as we talked about earlier.
Indeed, and time is running away. Ndoya Kwamuri, Mkoma Philip, thousands and thousands of young people are listening at this point. Can you wrap it up briefly? What's your last word?
I think toda kufunga innovatively. Let's not go tomato shit. Let's try to find other products that will high value. Because if you follow the crowd, you will never make money. Let's try to be innovative. Think of new ideas. How can you add value? How can you produce a product that is not pamkambo?
Thank you so much. Sorry, we are running out of time, but we want to thank our listeners and also viewers for joining us today on the Youth Connection, and to our guests, thank you so much for being with us today.
I'm Tungamiri Nkomo.
And I'm Tatenda Gumbo. Make sure you join us on The Connection next Tuesday, same time, same place. Good night.